Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Financial and Lifestyle Freedom Podcast with me, Annette Ferguson. I hope you are having a wonderful day. I am just back from being away for half term, so I am diving back into work and emails and all those fun things just now. You know how it is when you get back after a day or two, it kind of feels like you need a holiday again whilst you catch up with everything. So that is basically the mode I am in at the moment. Now, this week's episode of the podcast, we are speaking about managing and reducing business debt. So, this is basically strategies to free your business up from the weight that may exist around debt for you and your business. Whether you're feeling overwhelmed by debt or you just want to stay ahead of it, then this episode is going to cover some practical strategies to help you reduce debt, improve cash flow, and set your business up on the path to financial freedom. Because debt can be a tool to help your business grow, but it can also hold you back if not managed fully. So let's talk about how you can control the debt in your business and make it work for you and ultimately not against you. So, understanding business debt, good debt versus bad debt, because not all debt is harmful. Some debt can help your business grow, but other debt can drain your resources. Good debt is borrowing that is directly attributed and contributes to the business growth or revenue generation. For example, a loan to purchase equipment that boosts productivity or an investment in technology that improves efficiencies. On the flip side, bad debt is debt that doesn't bring you a return on investment and typically can come with some high interest rates, like credit card debt used to cover everyday expenses or loans with unfavorable terms. I always say to business owners that if you are looking to take on debt in your business, understand that if you couldn't afford the repayments before you took the debt on, how are you going to make the repayments after you take the debt on? And if the debt is not going towards things that are going to grow the revenue or grow the bottom line, then the likelihood is that you will struggle to repay that debt once the repayments kick in. Recognizing the difference between good and bad debt is key to managing it effectively. Good debt can be, as I said, a powerful tool, but bad debt needs to be addressed quickly as possible to avoid long-term damage to your business's financial health. Ultimately, this is the position that many businesses have got in over the COVID period when they took out bounce back loans. They took out bounce back loans to cover the ongoing costs of the business, but not putting towards anything that actually was going to grow the business, improve efficiencies, or make the business stronger. Yes, I am not judging anyone who took those loans out because for many businesses they were necessary just to see them over that time period. But the problem is that a lot of those businesses could not afford loan repayments pre-COVID. And when we came out post-COVID, they still couldn't afford the loan repayments. And so there are many businesses now drowning as a result of the bounce back loan payments because they could never afford them beforehand. So the thing that we need to do is basically assess your current debt situation, because before you can manage or reduce debt, you need to know exactly what you owe, what you're dealing with. This means sitting down and listing out all of your business debts, including loans, credit cards, lines of credit, overdue amounts with HMRC, any other obligations. So here's what we need to do. First of all, gather all the debt information. So find out what all your outstanding amounts are, find out your interest rates, your repayment terms, and the monthly minimum payments due for each debt. Then calculate the total cost of your debt. Look at the interest rates to see which debts are costing you the most over time, because high interest debts can quickly drain your cash flow. And then you need to prioritize the debts. Once you've gathered the information, you can prioritize your debts based on interest rates and terms. The higher interest rates are costing you more in the long run. Understanding your debt position, first of all, will give you a clearer picture of where the business stands and what steps you need to take next. So now that you've assessed the debt, it is time to create a plan to reduce it. Here are several strategies that you can use to pay off your debts faster and more efficiently. And that ultimately, in the long term, leads to more cash available in the business for investment or for your own take home. Two popular debt repayments are the debt snowball method and the debt avalanche method. The debt snowball method involves paying off the smallest amount of debt first, then moving on to the next, whilst keeping up with your minimum payments on all debt. This method is great for building momentum as it allows you to celebrate quick wins and psychologically can really help with keeping you motivated to pay off the debt. The second method is the debt avalanche method, and this focuses on paying off debt with the highest interest rates first, which ultimately saves you money over time, but psychologically can be harder. So this method can take longer to show you results. However, it is typically the most cost-effective approach. Another strategy to consider might be debt consolidation, combining multiple debts into one loan with a lower interest rate overall. That can simplify your payments and reduce the overall interest you pay, but it does mean that you then have a much larger number to tackle, and that can feel a bit too overwhelming for some people, which is why the debt snowball method can work really well. But also, don't be afraid to negotiate with your creditors. You can sometimes secure lower rates or extended repayment terms if you just talk to them. And that can make managing your debt a little bit easier. Paying off debts faster requires more cash flow. So that means that we need to talk about how we can free up resources in your business to enable that to happen. So here are a few quick ways that you can look at improving your cash flow. So invoicing faster, perhaps offering early repayment discounts or upfront payments, speeding up the accounts receivable by invoicing immediately can help with cash flow. Negotiating payment terms with suppliers, if possible, asking your suppliers to extend payment terms. That can give you more time to pay bills and keep more cash on hand. And of course, the big one, increasing revenue. Looking for ways to upsell and cross-sell to your existing customers can be easier than going out and getting new ones or running limited time promotions to bring in extra cash into the business. Because the more cash flow you have, the faster you can pay down the debts. And don't forget, improving cash flow doesn't just help with debts, it also sets your business up for future success. So finally, let's talk about how you can avoid getting into debt again in the future. Once you have reduced or eliminated your business debt, you want to make sure you stay debt-free or at least bad debt-free. Here are a few long-term strategies to consider. First of all, building up an emergency fund. Setting aside a proportion of the income in the business as an emergency fund so you can cover unexpected expenses without having to resort to debt. Using cash flow forecasting. Forecasting helps you anticipate low cash periods and plan for upcoming expenses, reducing the need to rely on credit. And 3, investing wisely. When considering taking on debt for business growth, ensuring that the return on investment is clear and worth the risk. Remember that debt is not always a bad thing, but the key is to manage it effectively so that it doesn't negatively impact your business's health overall. So, to wrap up, managing and reducing business debt is all about taking control of your finances. It starts with understanding your current debt situation, creating a repayment plan, and improving your cash flow to accelerate debt repayment. If you are ready to take the next steps, make sure that you download my business debt reduction toolkit. The link for that is in the show notes. That will help you organize and track your debt repayment efforts. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I do appreciate your time with me. I know it is incredibly precious. So thank you for spending some of that with me. If you do get value from the podcast, I would love if you want to subscribe in whichever podcast player you happen to be listening in. And also, please do leave us a podcast review. It really does help with other people finding the podcast and getting value from it as well. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Do make sure you check out the business debt reduction toolkit that we have provided for you in the show notes. It is completely free of charge. So do make sure you look out for that. And I will speak to you really soon. Take care.